Hey everybody, this is Raul Gonzalez.
And I'm Oscar Ibieta.
And this is Medicare Agent IQ. Hey, real quick, the reason we do this is that we just want to help agents to be successful selling Medicare. And so what we're going to talk about today is cross-selling. Yeah, we want to help agents, and this is a big part. I feel like agents are leaving a lot of money on the table or revenue, right?
Yeah.
And what I want to do is I want to encourage agents to shift away from the thinking of income. I want to increase my renewals. I want to increase my income and start thinking the way the businesses do, which is in terms of revenue.
Right. And so when we talk about bringing in extra revenue, of course, we know that there's money to be made, and that's what we're doing. We're out there selling these Medicare plans, but we're leaving money on the table. And there's opportunity that is out there that we feel as an agent, and I'm guilty of this because I used to do this early on, was I was so focused on making those Medicare sales, which, you know, it's not a terrible thing, but there's still some missed opportunities because, as you know, with these plans that we're selling, there are some gaps. And so our job is to educate people and let them know how you can help them fill some of those gaps. And so today we're going to talk about, you know, some cross-sell opportunities when you're meeting with people and when you're in the home. And of course, it starts with, are we allowed to talk about these things? So what we're going to discuss here today are things that you are allowed to talk about when you're in the appointment, but you have to make sure that you have permission to talk about those things, and that is filled out on the scope of appointment.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the things that I want to overcome is there's a lot of excuses that I hear from agents, and again, when I talk about excuses I hear from agents are independent, do whatever you want to do, but there's a lot. One of the things I hear is, well, I'm just too busy during AEP to focus on this.
That was me,
right? But are you? But are you too busy to take the extra 15 minutes after that appointment and talk about a hospital indemnity plan and how it could really help them? And so a couple things I want to do is I want to shift my mindset into thinking about these products, these extra products that you could be helping them with. Let's shift the mindset into the truth is that these are some good products that could really help an individual in you know, financially in the time of need, and that's why we want to talk about them. So what I would do is, let's start with that scope of appointment form, right?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, we all know it's got to be done 48 hours ahead of time, right? But on that scope, if you look at it, you know that you're going to go in there to discuss a Medicare Advantage plan, but there are other boxes on there that you can check off that you want to check off. We encourage you to do so.
You know what? Let me touch on that real quick, and this is just a side note for agents. If I'm as an agent, what I'm going to do when I'm sitting in front of someone or talking about a scope of appointment, and they're asking, well, which one do I check? Medicare Advantage? What I would say is, look, as an independent agent, it's my job to make sure that I find all the options that would be best and make sure to put you in the best possible situation. So what I would do is just go ahead and check all of them. Yeah. Okay. And then I've never had someone be like, well, no, I just wanted to talk about Medicare Advantage. Now, if someone does, that's what the point of the scope is, right? Like, only talk Medicare Advantage. Yeah. But I have a responsibility to my client to offer them an option that is going to put them in the best possible situation. So let me do that.
Yeah, and a simple mistake that can be avoided is sometimes we're in a mindset where we may think, I'm going into this appointment to talk about a Medicare supplement, so I'm only going to have them check off the Part D. And then at some point in that appointment, it could turn into a conversation about a Medicare Advantage plan. So just to avoid any additional hurdles that you've got to overcome, because there are so many when it comes to our business, just do what Raul said just now and have them check them all, because again, it's our duty. We owe it to our clients to go over all the options that they've got when we're in that appointment with them.
Yeah. Let's talk about the first option on there which is a hospital indemnity plan. And I think that there's a lot of value in those hospital indemnity plans, in particular on plans that have, of course, if there's a plan with $100 a day for the first 5-day copay, then do you really need it? Maybe not. You're on a zero premium plan for a reason. But what I'm thinking about is those plans that have the $250, $290 a day to go in the hospital. I've seen $325 a day to go into the hospital for 5 or 7 days. it can get pretty costly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But maybe not, when you're on those zero premium plans, because we've had it generally, that's always been my mindset is, those those Medicare Advantage plans that are going to have the higher copay. So depending on what you focus on, we have some agents that we know that write a lot of HMO plans, some who do a lot of PPO plans, and then we have some who do a mix of the two. And the feedback that we get from the agents who write a lot of HMOs is I don't really see the value in presenting a hospital indemnity plan. And we're going to dive into this. I might be getting ahead, but some of these hospital indemnity carriers allow you to add a cancer rider. And we know that there is, that can be a pain point financially in a lot of these Medicare Advantage plans where you're going to see people spending, their costs going up. And so having a hospital indemnity plan in place that has got a cancer rider built into it, there is value there. And at the end of the day, that's what we're there to do.
Right. I mean, what are the negatives of even a good Advantage plan? Is the 20%, usually most of the plans have 20% coinsurance for radiation, but also for chemotherapy. And so 20% is quite a bit. And then you have that max out of pocket on all Medicare Advantage plans have the max out of pocket. So that is a liability on a plan. The other is on a plan where you have a high hospital cost are those hospital costs. So our job would be to try to help them identify the issues within the plan and help them get coverage for as much as we can help them to cover. So again, make sure that's your heart is and so doesn't it feel different when you ask that question when your heart's in the right place? When because like if you're just like, I'm just trying to add revenue, like I'm just trying to make more money, it's going to come off like that. So you have to basically, like for me, in order to make all of these things work, I have to sell it to myself. And does it make sense? Is this something that I would sell to my own grandpa, my own mom when she's turning 65? And a lot of times the answer is yes. And that's how I can get on board with these, because I'm that kind of person that I'm not going to sell you something I don't believe in. And honestly, we all shouldn't. Right. And I think so. The agents out there, well, I guess there's some agents out there who are like never Advantage, that kind of thing. It's hard to believe it, but you also have to open up your mind. Again, I go off on these side notes. Sometimes you have to open up your mind as an agent that not everybody's in your financial situation. And so we get stuck in that, but like, what if you can't afford it? Or what if the idea, we'd be like, well, it's only $150 a month. Yeah, when they first turn 65, talk to me when they're 75 and they're calling you because it's now $320 a month and they've got a condition that they can't change. So, we have to, you have to sell it to yourself, and help understand that there's a lot of seniors that if you're only selling Med Sup, you're putting them in a really tough situation to end up having wasted money during the healthy years, because that's the point kind of like of an Advantage plan is you're wasting money during the healthy years. If you're on a Med Sup, all the years you're healthy, and then when the prices start going up, why do the prices go up? Usually that's when people get sick, right? Yeah. Like they usually, as you get older, that's when you start having these conditions. And so you paid all this premium while you were healthy, and now you can no longer afford it once you're sick. Yeah. Okay, side note over. Let's go back to
you said something great there. You've got to believe in what you're doing, and so because if you don't, then a lot of times they can pick that up. And so I know that I do, I believe in what I'm doing, and I believe my mentality when I go into somebody's home is I truly believe that I'm walking in there and I'm going to put them in a better position today after I walk out the home than they were in before I got there.
Right.
And so I think you've got to program yourself. You got to have that mindset. But again, it's bringing the value to them and being genuine about the services that you're providing, and not having the mindset of I'm going to make some extra money by tacking on this hospital indemnity plan and these other products, some dental plans or vision plans. It's putting them in a position where if they are having some out-of-pocket costs that come up as they get older or get sick, you've got something in place that's going to protect them.
Yeah, and right now it's so much easier. One of the cool things is a lot of the carriers, and I'm not going to get into the specifics on the different carriers, but a lot of them are doing this thing where they have guaranteed issue for like the first 2 years that people are like for 65 through 67, and so that's actually really cool. And they're going to accept everybody regardless of the situation onto these plans. Then you can put it with a cancer rider that gives them coverage for $5,000 or $10,000, and you're putting them in a much better situation that's going to cover it. So, especially on HMO plans, you sell an HMO plan with a small hospital benefit. Maybe the copays aren't that high with a small hospital benefit, but maybe a larger, a $10,000 cancer rider. Well, now I'm putting them in a situation where they've got 2 years of chemotherapy covered if they end up getting it.
Right.
Again, I'm doing them a service at a very, very affordable cost. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And another product that someone would be able to sell during an appointment is the dental, vision, and hearing product. There's a couple of different plans out there, right, that offer dental, vision, and hearing, a pretty affordable amount.
Yeah, they're very affordable. As a matter of fact, I have one for myself. So you can write it for anybody of all ages, but obviously the population that we're dealing with are the seniors, and the rates are the same. So I'm paying the same amount that a 65-year-old, a 70-year-old is paying for their dental. But when does it make sense, right? A lot of these plans that we're out here selling, these Medicare Advantage plans, already include dental. They already include vision. Well, we all know that some of these dental packages that are built into these plans are not as rich, or some only cover preventative with very limited comprehensive benefits. And so if somebody's looking to get onto a plan that gives them a lot more when it comes to dental and vision, then this is an opportunity for you to position yourself right here. And so one quick example, the market that we're in here, right? There's a plan that gives, depending on the situation, right? There's an MA only plan that gives you $125 back into your Social Security check, or, the Part B reduction. But the dental package that's built into it it's not as rich. But look, here's how you've got to have this mentality is you're putting $125 back into their Social Security check. So if they, it's an opportunity for you to with that extra $125 that's coming back to them to get them on a hospital indemnity plan, and to get them a dental plan and a vision plan that's going to have more comprehensive benefits where they can actually go out and use this. And so this is where we bring the value. I was having a conversation with an agent the other day, and she was telling me that she wanted to meet with a client who this particular scenario had TRICARE for life. And so she was looking at getting her on an MA only plan that gives money back into the Social Security check. The reason that this person wanted to meet with the agent was because they wanted some dental, right? And so turns out the dentist that she goes to, that she loves, is not in network with this particular plan. And so ended up not making the sale. And so I was talking to the agent after the appointment. How did it go? We were recapping what can we learn from this. And so, well, it just turns out that the dentist wasn't in network, so it just didn't make sense. And I said, well, let's think about some things, right? But she's getting $125 back. So even though the dentist is not going to take her dental plan, you're still putting $125 back into her Social Security check, where now she's got some funds where she can use that money for the dentist, or she can go and use it anywhere else. And so, sorry, I kind of went off there, but that's like a perfect example of, as agents out in the field, where if we're thinking about these things and we understand the products, this opens up the door to cross-sell some other products like dental, vision, and hearing, and of course the hospital indemnity plan.
Yeah, they do absolutely make a lot of sense. And just kind of, again, where we move past kind of being a Medicare Advantage enroller, right? Someone who enrolls people into Medicare Advantage plan, into an advisor, someone who's going to help them to figure out, hey, look, this is the package that might make the most sense for you, right? Like trying to put them in a situation that's getting them the most coverage possible. So, I think that, so those are the main other products that you can sell. And so what I again recommend doing is getting with your upline, making sure that you have all the right products to be able to do that. And then of course you got to study those plans and get to know them, but they're a lot easier than Medicare Advantage, right? Like to be able to enroll someone in a hospital indemnity plan. It's actually pretty easy.
And you can prepare, right? Earlier we talked about, well, I don't have time. Well, it's just an extra 15 minutes, and you can even minimize that time, because I know as agents, we try to prepare as best we can for the appointment that we're going into. So, before we go and meet with our clients, we're trying to get the doctor information. Who's your doctor? If you can get me the list of prescriptions that you're taking, that helps you prepare. So that way, when you go in the home, you've got a couple of options ready to go, and you're not doing all of this homework while you're in there. So when you're plugging in, the doctors, when you're plugging in the medications, put together a quick quote for a hospital indemnity plan. And so when you're in the home, the way that I'll do it is when I get to that hospital copay, when I'm talking to them, I'll say, look, with this plan being a PPO, we understand that this might be a pain point. If you spend a week in the hospital, this is how much you're looking to spend. But there are other plans that are out there. They're called hospital indemnity plans that will help fill this gap. And I'll explain that to you here in just a little bit. But this is how it looks with your Medicare Advantage plan if you were to end up in the hospital. And so you've already kind of set the table for the conversation of bringing that quote at the end of the enrollment, and then you can go down. And there are other riders that you can add in there: an ambulance rider, a physical therapy rider, an outpatient surgery rider, different things. So understanding what's important to your client, and they're going to tell you, right, when you're having the conversation with them and when you're doing that needs analysis, they're going to tell you what's important to them. They might even tell you that dental is important to them, or vision. And so you've got these things that you're thinking about. And again, the point that we're driving home here is, you can offer these products to them in that same appointment when you're out there running your Medicare appointments.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk to the agents that say that they don't have time to sell other products. And what I'm talking about is coming back a couple days later and selling final expense. That's what I want to talk about next, is final expense. So there's agents that will say, hey man, I'm just too busy. I'm like, well, how many appointments are you running a day? Like, I don't know, 4 or 5. Yeah. And realistically, if you're only running 4 or 5 appointments in a day, there's ways to, like, you plan out your schedule, like to automatically come back 2 days later. What I would, back when I was active, and mostly as an agent, I was still working at Humana at the time. And we had some final expense products. And at the end of it, I just kind of learned from them just one open-ended question at the end of an appointment when you're done. You've done the thing, hey, make sure you send me people, all the referrals and everything that you're asked for. But at the end, just say, hey, by the way, real quick before I wrap up, what have you done to take care of your final expenses? And I word it that way. And the reason that I word it that way is because of the fact that if you ask someone, do you have life insurance? That's not going to get you anywhere. But the question, what have you done to take care of your final expenses? It puts people in a different mindset, and it makes them stop and think, because what do you mean? I know what life insurance is, but I'm not thinking the word final expenses, right? So it makes them stop and think, what have I done to take care of my final expenses? And a lot of times they'll look at you, they'll ask you what you mean by that. Well, just if something, and then so you can expand on it.
Yeah. So let's role play real quick, right? Yeah. You say, hey, ask me the question.
Hey, so by the way, man, thank you so much. I look forward to being your agent. I'm going to help you. We're going to stay in contact all the time. Hey, real quick, what have you done to take care of your final expenses?
What do you mean final expenses?
Yeah. Just kind of thinking, like, if something were to happen to you and, you needed to have like your funeral, and, I already have
I have a life insurance policy.
Oh, okay. Well, so if you already have a life insurance, to be honest, I'm not a final expense guy.
Right.
So I'm not going to review it. I'm not a rebuttal guy. I'm like, okay, good. But a lot of the seniors, if he would have said, oh man, to be honest, I haven't taken care of it. Here's what I want to do. I want to come back in about 2 days, and I'm going to just go through and show you what your options might be to be able to make sure that if something were to happen to you, that you'll be able to get that funeral paid for. Mm-hmm. So I'll come back. I'll come back in 2 days. And just very easy. Just throw this in. Look, I'll say this right now. I'm a Medicare Advantage insurance agent. I'm sorry, a Medicare plan agent where I do Medicare Advantage, I do Medicare supplements, and that's my focus. I'm just looking to add revenue. So I'm not I'm not like, this isn't the FFL channel. Like they're like those guys they'll review someone else's insurance, possibly move. If someone has final expense insurance, I'm usually gonna. Yeah. I'm not trying to change it unless they're like, it's funny, I just signed up 3 or 4 days ago with another agent. Give it a look.
If it's fresh,
right? But if they've had it in place for like 3 years, I'm not like the replacement plan kind of guy and all that. I'm just looking to and kind of going back. Here's my thought. And if I'm having a conversation in that role play, and he's like, to be honest, I'm not too worried about it. I'm gonna say, have you ever noticed that when someone passes away, a lot of times the family, the daughter, do you have a daughter? Oh yeah, I do. A lot of times the daughter's scrambling around, so nervous and stressed, and really they should be able to mourn their own dad. And they're running around and they're stressed, and maybe trying to put together a barbecue plate fundraiser or putting the funeral on a credit card or just any way that they can figure out how to make it work. And really what I think might be a good thing is, we save you some money on your plan. I think it might be a good idea just to look and see if there is an affordable way to make sure that your daughter's not having to do that.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, and so I'll come back in a couple of days, and I'll come back on Thursday, and I'll just go over the options. And here's the best part: you can just show it to her and see what she thinks, if it's worth it. And I bet she'll probably say yes, because we just don't want her scrambling around like that, right? Okay, so I'll come back on Thursday. I'm assuming that I just honestly, and here's what it comes back to. What I just said to you is I am real. So authentic. Like I truly don't. I genuinely care for this individual, and I don't want to see his daughter having to do that. And as an insurance agent, to all of our insurance agents out there, I want to tell you, I have been in a situation where I've gotten calls from people as a Medicare Advantage insurance agent, and they said, hey, I was just calling, do I have any life insurance connected to this because my father passed away? And you get those phone calls, and as a person that's responsible for caring for the individual that I'm sitting in front of, how do I feel knowing I never even offered? That's the hard part to me, is I'm just gonna offer it. And so I'm not a pressure sales guy. I'm not the guy, I'm not that upline that's like teaching people how to trick them in it. Like, that's not my style. But did I make the offer? Did I try to help them? Because ultimately that's what it's about, right? Is trying to help them. So
yeah, I think the fact that the way that you said it there, it really was authentic. Nothing about it felt fake. And in addition to that, just to add another layer is, be mindful of their budget. Don't be premium driven. If I know, because we all know that the commissions on a final expense product can you could see some big chunks of change come in just a matter of 20 minutes, And so you want to make sure that you put them on something that's going to fit that budget. So that same conversation that you were having with that individual shows it to the daughter and says, well, we can only afford X amount of dollars. Well, at least if it's going to give you $10,000 in coverage, then at least that's $10,000 more that his daughter is going to have to use towards that funeral expense. And so even if that funeral comes out to be $12,000 or $13,000, $15,000, at least she's not responsible for paying for the entire funeral.
Or they can, a lot of times they'll present them with the option, well, do you want to cremate him instead or cremate them instead? Like, yeah, absolutely. Let me go ahead and cremate my mom, so that way I can get the, I can save some money there. It'd probably be like $8,000 or $9,000 if you went the cremation route. So like, be able to, you're basically just putting them in a situation. They're putting their, really, I think that when it comes to lower income individuals and final expense insurance, what it comes down to is thinking about someone else. And if that's why I kind of tug at those heartstrings of, hey, do you really want to like I've seen a lot of children, a lot of grown children scrambling for money, and that's the only reason that I bring it up. I just want to help. And a lot of times they'll want to have that conversation, and if realistically they can't afford it. So fast forward, I came back 2 days later and we have this conversation about it. I'm going to, so fast forward, we have this conversation. Now they say, oh man, I really can't afford the $10,000. Say, look, here's what I want you to do. I want you to talk to your daughter that we talked about earlier. I know you mentioned that you would hate to see her scrambling. Sometimes I've seen where family members think it's a good idea, and so they'll come together. How many? You said you had three kids. Like a lot of times they might take that $30 a month, that $50 a month, and divide it between the three of them, and now it's affordable, and so that way they're not having to scramble. So why don't you go ahead and have that conversation, and then we can talk later about it. And so again, just kind of thinking about the heart, what would I do? Like if I were in that situation, and if I were the son in that situation, I'd be like, Dad, let me cover the $40 or $50 a month. I don't know how much final expense premium is, but
get some around there.
Yeah, let me cover the $40 or $50 a month for this, Dad, and make sure that I'm not having to figure this out, and having to come up with $10,000 on the spot. So let me figure this out. And so a lot of times they're going to do that. So the one thing I'll address real quick is, do I have the time? It's AEP right now. Do I have the time? You do? I'm just there are some agents. I do know a couple agents that are running they get over 200 sales during an AEP, and so maybe they don't. But the average agent during AEP, honestly, so we see a lot of numbers and we see a lot of good agents, but I think that the average is somewhere around between 40 and 80 sales during an AEP for an independent agent. And so if that's the case, you absolutely have time. You absolutely have time, and you just need to work it in. So when I was active as an agent, I worked at Humana, and so we did we had self-generated business that we would do, but then we would also have leads that they would give us. And so a lot of times we would be, working we'd be working 7-8 appointments in a day. I'd be working from 8 in the morning until 9 p.m. at times. But it's AEP. You worked really hard for 2 months. Just get out there and do it. Well, Raul, why not just wait until January? Well, a couple of reasons. One, they're gonna forget that they had this conversation. You just tugged at their heartstrings, and now you're waiting until January to actually have the conversation. There's that. Maybe they run into someone else who does have time to have a final. You opened up the door, and then they do, or even if you don't open up the door, a lot of things can happen when that person's no longer warm. Have you ever tried getting a hold of your client? Sometimes it's hard to call them back. Sometimes they're on one of those pay by month phones, and now their phone's disconnected 2 months later, and then it's just oh man, they end up staying your client. But the time is now. It's AEP is a time when, yes, you're supposed to be working a little bit harder. You're supposed to be putting in a lot more hours. That's what it's about. So I would encourage you, yes, you do have time. So except for the agents who are making 200 sales during AEP, yes, everybody else, you have time. Yeah. And so I just want to encourage you to get out there and do that. And we'll briefly just touch on cancer insurance also. At the end of that, what have you done to take care of your final expenses? There's a conversation of, have you had much family that had cancer? Oh yeah, I've had people who are like, yes, every one of my sisters has had cancer, and there's 5 of them. And we're like, yes, if every one of your sisters has had cancer, I mean, I'm not saying you're going to get it. I'm just saying it might be a good idea to get some cancer insurance. So things like that. I genuinely care about an individual. I genuinely care about the individual sitting in front of me. And if I have that attitude, then I am going to at least talk to them about it. Because I know that like I've talked to my family about these things, like, hey, this cancer insurance is available. Might be a good idea to get it. Then I would do that with the person in front of me, kind of owe it to them to just, even if it's not something you would buy, kind of owe it to them to at least let them know that it was available. Worst case scenario for me would be, just kind of as we wrap up, you talk to a customer and say, hey, I had cancer. It cost me quite a bit of money. And be like, hey, do you sell cancer insurance? Yeah, it's something I have. How come you never told me about it?
Yeah.
Like, you could have saved me a lot of money. And that's truly, that's got to be the heart of it when you're presenting it. Is I would much rather do that than be in a situation where I didn't ever tell them about it, and then just kind of like could have been in a much better financial situation. So that's all we've got for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are here on a weekly basis, whether it's AEP, regardless, we're here to help agents to be successful. So until next time, do me a favor. Would you follow us on our social media? And we've got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and I feel like YouTube. Thank you. I was like, I feel like there's another one. So follow us on YouTube. We try to put together training videos also, just like short little videos where we're helping agents to be more successful, similar to this. So until next time, thank you.